Demon to be inspired on Acheron. Let's see how it goes. To be honest with you, I have always found Acheron to be a really simple level. Not only decoration, but gameplay wise as well. While a lot of other extreme demons have a lot of transitions and crazy stuff happening at the same time, Acheron really reminds me from a 1.9 level, in which is way simpler than that. So for this gameplay, I will be making something really hard, but really simple at the same time. And of course, I want to keep the most iconic aspects of the level on it, such as the club step monster and the infamous arm spam. And within a blink of an eye, I was already done with this. And honestly, I think it is looking pretty good, to be honest. But not only by gameplay is a level made. Let's get the decoration started here. And at the beginning, I thought it would be pretty easy, since Acheron is a really simple level, right? The first thing I made were the spikes, and as you can see, I really went for something really similar to the original version here. And then I proceeded to make the first club step monster of the level. Unfortunately, what I ended up making here was just a worse version from the original Acheron monster, but with glow. To be honest, I didn't like how it looked that much, but I still kept making the level anyways. After making the structuring and a little bit of the air deco, I was not really happy with this part at all. See, I was succeeding on my objective to make a similar to Acheron thing, but the thing is that it looks way too similar to it. I mean, I feel like I'm just making Acheron, but with different gameplay, you know? And I mean, I wanted it to look like Acheron, of course, but I also wanted to add a little bit of my style into it. So I decided to restart it from scratch. I still kept the spike though, cause they look sick, to be honest. Okay, so now I was 100% motivated to actually make something good here. So I started making the club step monster. But this time, I must say, I kinda cooked on it, to be honest. As you can see here, I made the color red to be a bit less saturated this time. And now I was actually revamping the original club step monster, other than just making a glowy version from it, you know. This time, I actually added a lot of new details and a lot of different stuff on it in general. And seeing it now, I feel like I got exactly what I wanted with this. This doesn't really look like just Acheron club step monster with glow. This actually looks like an Acheron style club step monster with glow and some extra things, but we don't talk about that, okay? After making the monster, I started to make the block designs, and as you guys already know, Acheron block designs have a lot of these pads on them for some reason. So I basically made a really basic structure and just pretty much spammed these details into it. And not gonna lie, it actually ended up looking really good, to be honest. Also, I know that the majority of Acheron blocks don't have a 3D, but if you guys know me well, I am a 3D addict, so I can't just, you know, avoid it. Then I proceeded to make some small blocks in the part, just like those from Acheron. And also I made some giant structures because that's what I do when I can't copy and paste blocks, you know. Then I proceeded to make some saws, and as you guys already know, I am actually terrible at making them. So I just kept them really simple as always and just spread them over the part just like that. After finishing the saws, I proceeded to make the rest of the air deco. And Acheron air deco is something really interesting for me, to be honest. Like, the air deco from this level is actually really well done. It basically has a lot of things that we don't normally notice when we are playing it, such as some small background elements and some random stuff thrown in the midair. Those things add a lot to the level and to its 1.9 atmosphere, and replicating it isn't that hard. You just gotta put some fairly unnoticeable objects on the background and some random 1.9 air deco and you will achieve that. But you have to have a good sense of object distribution in order to do it well. So yeah, be careful if you're gonna add it to your levels, because if you don't know how to actually do it, you're decoration is probably going to look like this. So yeah, I'm just gonna add some T3 glue here, and the entire first section is basically done. After making it, it was time to actually start doing the second section, and for that, I wanted to make something similar to the most iconic Acheron part, it being that classic shift part, surrounded by a lot of ground spikes, and of course, club step monsters. So I started making some club step monsters, of course. I was really undecided about how the face from the first club step monster would look like, so I tried to make a lot of weird things, as you can see here, but in the end I just made it to be a very usual angry face, and I made this other club step monster to be angry as well, because why not? The third one though is gonna be like he's neutral. Look at him, he's the protagonist from the anime, he has no feelings at all. And for the last one, I made him to be like that. I don't know, I was just really bored. After making their structures, I made a 3D because, as I've already said, I am addicted to it. I can do anything about it, I'm sorry. After finishing the club step monster here, I made some saws, and to be honest, I think I'm getting better at doing them, I guess. And then I started making the ground spikes. I always liked how the ground spikes from Acheron look like for some reason. I don't know, it's just the way they are made. Like, they have these small openings with a lot of decoration inside them. Honestly, I think that looks kinda sick. So I tried to make something similar to them on this remake. And as you can see here, I made a spike pillar, just like that one from Acheron, because why not, you know? Making ground spikes has never been a hard thing for me, to be honest, so I managed to finish it very quickly. For the air deco, it won't be too different from the first part, you know. A lot of subtle details that make up to a really good 1.9 atmosphere. And for the last, I added a really low opacity T3 glow on this part, and I really thought it wouldn't fit, to be honest, but it actually ended up looking pretty good. Ultimate Extreme Demon's next victim will be Silent Club Step. In the beginning, I was really undecided about what I should do here gameplay wise, so I just rewatched Silent Club Step 3 times in a row, and after doing it, I just decided to make the gameplay inspired by a lot of parts from Silent Club Step in general. First, I just went and took the Silent Club Step monster and put it on the level so I can redecorate it later. Then I made that cringe orb spam that we all know. Afterwards, I made this small duo part inspired on that kinda memory duo. And for the last, I made a part inspired on the most iconic Silent Club Step section in my opinion, it being that part with a lot of Club Step monsters, and also this thing that I don't really know what is, but I still think it looks horrifying. Anyways, the gameplay is basically done, and yeah, as you can tell, this level is really going through a lot of change and balancement once it's done. Enough of gameplay, because now it is decoration time. And to be honest, I had absolutely no idea what to do here. Like, for real, I just kept staring at the screen for a literal 30 minutes. But then I just started making some random stuff and trying to figure out how I could make this to actually look good. The first thing I decided to decorate were the spikes. And the first spike I did was this one. When I finished it, to be honest, I just thought it looked straight up bad, so I just decided to redo it. And instead of just spamming a lot of spikes, I tried this different concept, and to be honest, I really liked it. Then, for it not to get too repetitive, I made a different spike, and now the legendary fire spikes from this Club Step monster are done. After finishing the spikes, I had to work on this Club Step monster. To be honest, I still had no idea what to do on it. See, the first Club Step monster from Silent Club Step is just straight up empty, and of course, I didn't just wanna leave it like that. I had to make something on it, even if it's something simple, you know? So I started to mess around and try to make some random stuff on it. The first thing I tried to do was the sort of scar on his eye, and to be honest, I thought it looked pretty good. After doing it, I really thought about just leaving it like that. The monster was already looking pretty complete, but yeah, no. If you already know me, I really like to go for extra things, so I just decided to make some lines and some low bright details into it. To be honest, it ended up looking pretty good. Here's the comparison between the old and the new one. Seeing it now, I did a really good job at remaking this monster in my opinion. After it, I decided to make some ground spikes on that arm spam section, but I didn't go for something too complicated here as well. I just put some lines on it, some roots, some saws, and some bright details in general, just for it not look that empty. And yeah, this small first section is basically done. Now it is time to start making the dual part of the level. If you have ever seen Silent Clipstep, you already know that infamous dual part. Like seriously, that part is actually so hard, I can't beat it without no clip. But anyways, as you can see, it has some pretty simple decoration. It just basically uses some white connectors on the middle of the part, and it has a very grayish setting in general, so that's not gonna be hard to remake at all in my opinion. I'm just gonna be placing some random white connectors on the middle of the screen alongside with some glow and some extra details in general. Also, I'm gonna be making a smaller version from it and reducing its opacity so it becomes a small little background just for this section. And for the last, I made both of these connectors to move leftwards a little bit to give a little more of dynamism to the part. So yeah, the second section is basically done. Now, the only thing that we have left to be done is the legendary and extremely hard ship section. To be honest, I really wanted to go for something simpler for this part. As you can see, I just put some totally black clipstep monsters around it. Also, I made some ground spikes and I put those small little details on them, really similar to Silent Clipstep in general. After that, I made a T3 glow on top of it all because why not? The T3 glow never failed when it comes to amazing me. And then it was time to make the saws. As you can see, Silent Clipstep saws are very simple, like they barely have any decoration on them, so I decided to go for something kinda simpler as well. And for that, I just spammed some of those 4-edged saws, and I don't know if I like how it looks that much, but screw it, that will have to do it. Then I decided to make a 3D on the monsters as always, and to be honest, this section is getting better than what I expected for sure. For the last block deco of the part, I had to decorate this gigantic thing in which I still don't know what it actually is. Anyways, as you can see, there is a small monster face on the top part of this, so I just decided to turn this thing into a whole black monster. It's gonna be like a monster inside a monster, you know? And while I was doing it, I accidentally made this arm to be behind the black squares, and it created this funny little monster face. Just for the funny, I'm going to keep it like that, I don't care. I just made some more black squares into the down part of this structure, and then I put some bright details and glow in front of them, and it ended up looking pretty good. And since this structure is gigantic, I got very lazy to make the 3D on it, so I'm gonna just leave it for later and just make the air deco on the level. To be honest, Silent Clipstep barely has any air deco, so I really wanted to make the air deco from this part really simple. I just put some small arrows on the middle of the Clipstep monster's mouth, as you can see here, and I put some bigger arrows right after it, just like that. I also made a random glow laser on it. I don't know, I just thought it would fit, I guess. For the second section, I made no air deco at all because I think it doesn't really need it, to be honest. The last section surely needs it though. When I started making the air deco from this part, I somehow got distracted, and when I woke up from my daydreaming, I had done this extremely over decorated arrow that surely didn't fit to the part, so I just deleted it right after. Dude, I really have to take care not to get distracted in this game, holy moly. So basically, I just did some very simple arrows with glow on this part in general, and that was about it. After doing the air deco, I made the 3D on that gigantic structure structure as I promised, and seeing it now, it was actually pretty easy to do it. I just filmed a lot of corner 3D details in general, and it was basically done, just like that. The next victim from the Ultimate Extreme Demon is the Golden. So, as you may already know, the Golden has a really simple gameplay. It doesn't have a lot of transitions and crazy stuff going on, unlike most of Extreme Demons. So I'm just gonna keep things simple here. I'm gonna make the first section inspired on the first part of the level, in which the gameplay is mostly made of UFO. The second section is gonna be inspired on that green ship part. Simple spikes here, and it's basically done. I think I managed to reach my goal with this block, to be honest. It really looks like the golden block, but remade, and most importantly, actually visible. Okay, I think I should stop roasting this level. I'm probably going too far with it. After finishing this block, I just made some more structures, and then I just copied and pasted the details from it to them just like that. And since the golden has a lot of copy and pasted blocks as well, I gave myself the freedom to do it. After doing the blocks, I decided to go and make the saws. I just made some really simple ones, kind of inspired on the golden saws obviously, and as you can see here, I just put them in random places of the part. Right after it, I did some really simple ground spikes using those triangular details and some of those chains, and this is how it is looking like so far. Now, since the golden barely has any air decor at all, and I didn't want to just make a black glow overthrow in here to fill up the empty space, I decided to come up with something new. And this thing was, I decided to add some vines to it because I thought it would fit to the jungle temple theme, you know. I just picked up that round detail, put some triangles on it to resemble some spikes and then just connected them to some details of the part, just like that. I also made some more vines on the background and put some very subtle arrows on them. And for the last, just to ensure that this part isn't gonna look empty, I am just gonna put some small diamond-shaped air deco things on the middle of the part, and I think this is looking really good so far. Now I will just select all, don't fade, don't enter, edit object, remove glow, deselect, ask, save and exit. Okay, so after spending 3 hours fixing that small mistake, it was time to start doing the second section. And for that, as I've already said, I'm gonna do something inspired on this part right here, with these two greenish clubstep monsters. So I started to make their structures, and as you can see, I already changed a lot of things on it. For their details, I just made a bunch of lines and a lot of random bit12 visual details, and this is how it ended up looking like. I honestly really like it. Now I'm gonna just copy and paste it because the golden does the same thing, except I'm gonna change this spike position just like that. Around these monsters, I'm gonna make a really simple ground spike, and in the middle of it, I'm gonna put a kind of buried block design. And to finish it, since the middle part of it looks pretty empty, I am just gonna put some glow lasers on it because why not? Now, it is time for what we all have been waiting for, the wave part. As you can see, this part, just like every other The Golden part, has a lot of square and rectangle shaped designs and also a lot of copy and paste. But it also has those little connectors on the block design, in which I honestly hate to see them. Like, for me, once you put a connector detail into a block, it is over. Your entire design is ruined. Anyways, since this is a The Golden remake, I am gonna have to put connectors into the blocks on this section. I hate myself. I just did a pretty basic structure here. Then I put a small connector detail on the top part of it, and I put a little grass thing under it, so I don't know, it looks better this way, I guess. Then, of course, I spammed a lot of lines and glow, as I always do, and then I copy and pasted the details from this block to other like 5 designs. And then I copy and pasted the blocks all around the part, and the designs are done. Yes, as you can tell, I really like copy and pasting things. Now, for the ground spikes of this part, I went for something a little bit different. So, as you can see, the saws of this part on The Golden have this small little thing inside them that I don't really know what it is called, I'm sorry. But honestly, this thing is an object in which I barely see being used. So we're gonna be one of the 8 people who have ever put this object in their level. I'll just put it behind this gear alongside with some black decoration on the middle of it. And we're gonna put this gear into the top part of the ground spikes, just like that. Then, for the ground spikes decoration, I will just put some glowy details into it, and then I'll just spam it around the part. Seeing it now, this part looks kinda mid to be honest, but so does The Golden, so we don't talk about that, okay? As you can see, The Golden in general has a lot of black details on the T3 layer, and I personally find it to be very not good looking, but since this is a remake from this level, I'll have to somehow incorporate it into this part. I will just put some random black details in T3 and turn up their scaling a lot. Then I'm gonna make them all move leftwards really quickly to add more intensity for this part. For the air deco for this part, I was really out of ideas since The Golden has practically no air deco at all. So I decided to go and try to make something different for it. I just picked up these chains details, increased their scaling, and then put an arrow in front of them. Afterwards, I just spread it over the parts just like that. Right after I did it, I realized it looked extremely ugly, so I just removed it. I was literally dying inside because I genuinely couldn't think about anything to make here for the air deco. But then I decided to check the wave part of The Golden again, and when I did it, I realized there are actually some small pieces of air deco into it. It being this random really low opacity and ugly chains. So I just kinda did the same thing for this part, and it actually looked pretty good. I mean, they'll have to do it. And the wave section is basically done. To finish the golden remake, I will just extend this part a little bit rightwards, so it works like a small transition to the next one, just for it not to look empty. And the next extreme demon we are gonna be remaking is the hallucination. Okay, so before starting, I have to tell you guys something. Before this guy commented this, I actually didn't know about the hallucination at all. I had literally never heard about this level in my entire life. But then, when I got to see it for the first time, I automatically fell in love with it. Just the atmosphere, the good glow usage, and the details. I really like the hallucination in general. This level is the best 9 circles extreme demon in the game in my opinion. With that said, let's start doing it already. This is literally my first time making a 9 circles level gameplay, so yeah, forgive me if it ends up looking terrible. I'm basically gonna try to make a gameplay similar to the hallucination in general. I'll be adding a lot of portals, mini waves, and
I don't need to rush.
game mode
You'll
here
come
in the
to
middle of
me.
nowhere, because I think it's really gonna remind the hallucination. And yeah, in about 1 hour, I was able to get this gameplay done. And this is how it looks like. Now, let's start decorating it. And I must say, when I started doing it, I already realized it would not be an easy task at all. The hallucination, as you guys can see, is a really good level on its own. It's basically perfect. It has good colors, good poses, nice details, and overall, it's a really nice looking thing. For this reason, I'm gonna have some
assure
good
you,
one remaking
I'm
it for
real.
sure. I'm gonna start it by making some 9 circles poses so the decoration can pose like this. Then I'm gonna make the block designs. When I was making it, I was really out of ideas. My mind was literally empty. I was basically just making a lot of bevels of blocks and a lot of random details, as you can see here. But then I started to observe better how the hallucination blocks are made, and then I started to actually make something decent here. I made some glow around the block, some glowy details into the base, some ground spikes, and then I decided to make a black glow in the bottom part of it, and it actually worked out pretty well into this structure. So far, this block was looking pretty good, but to be honest, it was looking way too similar to the hallucination. So I decided to add some stuff directly from mine. And some really over-decorated spikes, just like that. Even though I have never decorated an actual 9 circles level in my entire life, I'd say this looks pretty good. At least for my first 9 circles block, it does. Now, I will just make a similar thing to the mini wave structures, and yeah, I can say now that I am really feeling the flow of remaking the hallucination. You know, I don't see 9 circles levels being made in this game too often, but if there is one thing I really like about these levels, this thing is all the blocks are practically the same. You rarely will see any variation between blocks and structures in any levels, and of course, for the hallucination, it wouldn't be different. As you can see, practically all the blocks from this level look literally the same thing. There are some small little variations here and there, but in general, the majority of the blocks look identical. And of course, I will take advantage of that. I'll basically just copy and paste these blocks a lot into this part. Like, I can't even describe the amount of copy and paste I'm using here. And to be honest, it feels really nice to do it. It's almost like I'm using a cheat code for decorating faster or something like that. However, since there are some different structures here in which I unfortunately cannot copy and paste anything to them, I will just decorate them just like I decorate the blocks. Except, I will make some extra details on them, and I will add some small variations to the for the last, I'll be decorating this structure right here with this giant gap in its middle. I'll basically add the same details I add to the blocks, but of course I'll just make some small variations. It's basically done. And I'll be honest with you, I cannot even believe I actually managed to finish this that fast. Man, I love making 9 circles level. Now it is time for the air deco. For me, the air deco from this level kinda reminds me from Acheron's one, in a sense that this level does not have a lot of arrows and things guiding you to the specific way. It just has a lot of details thrown randomly around the parts, such as connectors, barely visible arrows, this kind of hexagons, and of course, the saws. And speaking of souls, we are gonna start with by remaking those. The hallucination souls seem to be pretty easy to make, to be honest. I'm just gonna spam a lot of souls here, and then I'm gonna put some glow behind it and in front of it, just like that. Also, I will do a little variation for this small soul blade. Basically, it looks the same thing as the big ones, with less glow and, of course, less spam. After the souls, I proceeded to make the rest of the air decker from this level. Basically, the first thing I wanted to make is this effect right here, with these kind of hexagons and these small bright lines. I basically just placed some black hexagons and put some really bright glow behind them, and then I just put some black glow upon them, and it was basically there. It's a really simple but really nice effect, and I really like how it looks like. Now I'll just make some very subtle arrows with some of these lines around them, some block walls with very low opacity arrows in the middle of them, and also I will put these small things around the part, just like that. I'm also gonna put some small low opacity connectors, just like the ones from the hallucination, except I'll use my style to make them. And for the last, even though this level originally does not have any kind of high bright arrows guiding the way the player should go, since I'm using my style to remake it, I'll be adding some of those. I don't know, I really think they will fit pretty well into this part. Also, I'm gonna put a really low opacity T3 glow on this part, just like that. I'm sorry, I can't avoid making the legendary T3 glow. Speaking of glow, the hallucination has some really bright glow effects that I don't really like how they look like in general, but I will be adding one of them into this part. I'll just spam a lot of glow lasers and reduce their scaling, just like that. I'm also gonna make them to appear in the exact moment the player is going through this small wave corridor, so it creates this kinda cool effect. And the next extreme demon I'm gonna be remaking is Firework. Let's start it by making the gameplay of this part. As you can see, Firework's gameplay is mostly made of orbs and orbs and orbs. So let's just make a lot of orbs. orbs here and a lot of average extreme demon timings just like that. Half of this gameplay will be made of cube and the other half will be a shape part. I'm gonna make it inspired on Conti's firework part because I think this part is one of the most iconic ones from this level for sure. By the way, I genuinely wonder how people can beat this. Look at this, bro. This is so hard, it scares me. Anyways, I'm making a nerfed version from it, obviously. And I must say, it took me a really long time to finish this gameplay. It's just really hard to work with orbs without making the level somehow inconsistent. But after 3 hours of work, I finally managed to fix all the bugs and get this done. After finishing it, I decided to ask the opinion of someone else about this gameplay, just to ensure that it wasn't looking that terrible. And this person was Lord Vadercraft. For those who don't know, Lord Vadercraft is the verifier of the Ultimate Extreme Demon, and he has also beaten Firework before, so I thought I would ask his thoughts on my gameplay. When I sent it to him, I was kinda worried because, as many of you know, gameplay isn't really my strong point, but he said he likes it, so yeah, I'm glad I managed to pull off at least a decent thing here. Oh yeah, and by the way, this is how it was looking like. Now the time to decorate it has come, and I was surprisingly out of ideas at the beginning. As you may know, Firework is a mega collab. It was made by more than just one person, so each one of its parts is really different than the others. For that reason, I was really struggling to find details to put in this part that would remind Firework as a whole, you know. But then I decided to check through this level again and see if I could find anything to do here. And when I was checking it, I could notice some things that a lot of Firework parts have in common. Basically, the details that appear the most on this level are white squares, these lines, and also these details here, in which I don't even know how to call it, to be honest. I decided I would try to somehow incorporate these things into this remake I'm making. So yeah, I started working on the first block design of this part. I basically made a square, put a lot of bevels of blocks into it, and then added some lines and some glowy details to it, just like that. When I was about to finish this block, I realized this was looking terrible and not really similar to Firework at all, so I just decided to remake it. On my second attempt of making a block, I decided to change the structure of it a little bit so it got less repetitive. For this block, I basically did the same as I did for the other one. I basically put a lot of lines, glow, and a lot of bevels of structures into it. But for the details, I decided to use some squares with some black glow under them and some bright glow on the top of them, just like that. Also, I decided to include those classic Firework details on the top part of this block. After it, I just made a 3D on this block and then decided to make these spikes. I would just spam some spikes, put some black glow under them, and then I would put some extra details on the middle of it, just like that. And yeah, this block was basically done. I do think it looks quite simple if compared to my regular blocks, but in my own defense, I am absolutely terrible at working with the color gray, so yeah, I already expected it wouldn't turn out to be that great, to be honest. After making this block, I decided to make some similar ones just by reusing its details just like that. And then I just copy and pasted them a little bit around the part and it was basically done. After making the blocks, I did some very simple brown spikes and used some white sauce and inspired on this Firework part. After the brown spikes, I just put some glow lasers and some line details under the blocks because I thought it would really remind Firework for some reason. And after doing it, I decided to make some really basic air deco here. The air deco from Firework is just a lot of circles and arrows. It's really basic in general, so I would just do the same thing here. I basically just make some black and white arrows and some glowy circles here, and yeah, the air deco is finished. This is how this part is looking so far. As you can see, it's not even close to being done yet, but since I had no idea of what else to add here, also I was a bit lazy, I decided to start making the second section of the part, since I already had some ideas for it. So I will start it off by making some funny poses on this part. I would just make some blocks pose brighter than the others, and then I would alternate it between them, just like how it works on Conce's part. Then I'll just make a lot of details in every single one of the blocks, mainly square shaped ones. Now I'll just make a really basic air deck on this part as well. I'll just add some really bright details and arrows, and also I'm gonna put some glow lasers between the orbs just like that. Also, I'm gonna do a very simple ground spikes just for the ground not to look that empty. And yeah, at this point I was practically done with this entire remake. Now, the last thing I have to do here is a background for both of the parts. As you can see, firework backgrounds are mostly made of just blocks and squares with very low opacity, and I practically always do this for a background for pretty much all my parts. Just making it once again for this remake wouldn't be a hard thing for sure. I just made some really low opacity blocks with some really low opacity squares into them and made them move rightwards, and it was basically done. But since the first part was still looking kinda empty, I decided to make some cobwebs on some random places just like that. Also, I tried to make a gigantic cobweb for a kinda air deco, but it ended up looking terrible, so I just, removed it. To make this part even more similar to firework in general, I had an idea to add an effect coming directly from Buragos' part, it being these chains, just coming out from the left and right of the screen. I decided I would try to reproduce it for this part. I just filmed a lot of chains and made them follow the player, and then I made them to appear on both left and right sides of the screen just like that. It was actually pretty easy and fun to make. I should add effects to my parts more often, to be honest. And the next extreme demon I'll be remaking is Bloodbath, but I decided to remake a bloodlust part as well later on. Alright, so let's just start making the gameplay, and for it I was thinking about reproducing Bloodbath's ship drop, because I thought it would fit to this part of the level, I guess. So I just started making a kinda blocks corridor, and also I did some random club step monsters, and the ship part was basically done. After it, I decided to remake the UFO part of A Sonic Man, because I think this part is pretty iconic and it would fit to this level as well. So I just started placing a lot of gears, and that was basically it. I guess the gameplay for this part is basically done, and this is how it is looking like so far. Okay, so now it is decoration time, unfortunately, and I basically wanted to make a kind of bloodbath decoration, but revamped, if you get what I mean. As you can see, the bloodbath's dropship part has a really simple decoration, and I didn't expect anything other than that. It is a 1.9 level after all, so it isn't gonna be that hard to remake. The first thing I noticed about this part was that it uses a lot of these white blocks on the corner of pretty much every design and club step monster in this part, so I just decided to kind of replicate it using my style for it. I basically placed this square, made it red, and kind of spammed it, and then put some bright glow and some black glow in it. just to give it a nice contrast, just like that. After it, I put some bricks under it, some lines, glow, and I decided to add some ground spikes in it as well. After doing it all, I ran out of ideas, and when I run out